For a while, I was both a compulsive movie trailer watcher and a review reader. This meant that whenever I finally watched a movie for myself, I typically went into it not only with a full understanding of what the movie was about, but also a painful awareness of any discourse that had been developing around it. In fact, I can count on one hand the number of times I've gone into a movie completely blind. And even then, one hand is overkill. The first was a 2021 Australian film called Knit-Ram. I had no idea what it was about when I pulled it up on my laptop one night. I was simply intrigued by that singular word which I'd never encountered before. Knit-Ram. Without getting too deep into the weeds, this was a movie that caught me completely off guard, in part because I had no idea that it was based on a real event. And the real event it was based on, the 1996 Port Arthur massacre in which a man named Martin Bryant killed 35 people in the Australian state of Tasmania, was also something I'd never heard about. When the movie ended, I remember just kind of lying there in bed muttering, "What the fuck?" The second movie I watched, without any real context, and the focus of today's episode, is Lars von Trier's 2000 tragedy musical, Dancer in the Dark. Going into it, the only thing I knew was that it starred Björk. And even then, my knowledge of who Björk was also pretty limited. By the time the credits rolled, I was in a daze. I didn't know what I felt. I didn't even know if I liked it or not. So I was glad to have the opportunity to talk about it with someone else. I'm your host, Matt Jones, and this is another episode of I'm Not Crying.
Hi, so today I'm here with Rowan. How are you doing, Rowan?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing really nice. Where are you recording from?
I am in Athens, Georgia.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't know if you can see the snow outside my window. It's snowing pretty heavily.
Is it snowing right now?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't see anything, but it kind of gives like the blinding white that says there's snow.
Right. Just trust me. Trust me, it's there.
Yeah. Did you guys get the big storm last weekend?
We did, yes.
Yeah.
It's 2 weekends in a row that we're getting pelted with frozen stuff.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Everything is very piled up where I am, too.
Where are you?
I'm in central Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So we got a lot of snow last weekend, but none this weekend.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So what brings you to Athens? Are you from there?
No, I'm from Alabama originally, but I moved here with my husband, who is from Korea. He had thought that he'd wanted to go back to school, but ended up getting a job before having to do that. But it just seemed like a good area for us to be, with the Korean community not too far away.
Yeah. So wait, you're from Alabama. I lived in Alabama for a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I went to grad school in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My stepsister lives in Tuscaloosa. I'm from Selma.
Sure. Yeah. I've been to Selma a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. So in the South.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Well, yeah, I'm glad we could do this. And I'm not sure if it was very surprising that I reached out. But yeah, I found your website, The Harvest Maid's Revenge. And specifically, I found an essay that you wrote, I Don't Want to Say I Told You So, which I really enjoyed. It resonated with me on a number of levels. So I'm glad that we could do this.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's really kind.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, how did you come across that? But
Yeah. Just like a ton of like deep, broad reading online about like crying at movies. And then I came across yours. And it seems like, so you have like a pretty strong relationship with movies. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of intensified in the last few years, maybe. I mean, I've always been a big fan of movies, but over the last few years, since I got really into kind of writing about folk horror specifically, I find myself watching a lot of movies, kind of trying to find, what are the hidden gems that people aren't talking about, and also just kind of trying to catch up on the classics and like the stuff that is in the canon that I missed before.
So what draws you to folk horror?
It's kind of a it's kind of a hard question. I mean, I think like the simple answer is that I was always kind of interested in, I don't know, nature and magic, ever since I was a kid, thinking about fairies and whatnot, and being drawn to the more kind of folkloric, magical aspects of that.
Yeah.
And I think that there's kind of like this push pull or like this dark light element of it where part of us is really drawn to this idea of nature or this idea of being in a really close knit community. But then folk horror shows us how that can go really wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like that kind of temptation mixed with revulsion, I think is really interesting.
I agree. Yeah. I'm a huge horror fan, and folk, that includes folk horror.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, do you have kind of any of the, like a hidden gem that you've found in the folk horror world that you think about?
One that I am always championing that I don't think enough people have seen is called The Feast.
Oh, okay.
From, I think it's 2021. It's a Welsh movie, and it's actually all in the Welsh language, which is kind of rare for films and especially horror movies. But it's a really interesting movie, and stylistically almost feels like a kind of Michael Haneke type thing.
I'm
But
very into that.
yeah. Speaking of brutal, emotionally punishing things,
Yeah.
I think I would recommend that one to anyone as something that's kind of a little off the beaten path, but it's excellent.
Okay, I will check out The Feast. My wife and I just watched one like a couple months ago. I'm not sure if I'll say it right. Frewaka.
Oh yeah. The Irish.
Yeah.
And yeah, that one's good.
Like that. Yeah, you're kind of right. Like nature is often like posited as like having like this utopic space where a lot of good things are possible, but then folk horror kind of twists that up to say like there are actually a lot of really horrific, terrifying things that are possible as well.
Right. Yeah. You kind of have to go into the situation with your eyes open.
Yeah. Yeah. And the movie we're talking about today is it's not a horror, but is in many ways horrific.
Yes.
And that is Dancer in the Dark.
You like the movies, don't you?
I love the movies.
Yeah?
I just love the musicals.
But isn't it annoying when they do the last song in the films, though?
Why?
Because you just know when it goes really big and the camera goes like out of the roof and you just know it's going to end. I hate that. I would leave just after the next to last song and the film would just go on forever.
Yes. And so if I remember correctly, you had not seen that one?
That's correct. And I watched it this time around with no knowledge. I didn't watch a trailer. I didn't read about what it was about. I knew that it starred Bjork. So it was a really intense, very memorable, unusual experience for me.
Yeah. I was curious what your reaction would be seeing it for the first time, and especially now, 26 years.
Yeah,
later.
it was. So I think I keep going back to the word unusual in my head because I had no idea what it was going to be about. And so stylistically, the way it was shot, kind of like hand digital cams, and then being like part musical, but like rejecting the way that musicals are typically filmed and what they mean. Actually, if it's helpful, in kind of trying to see like how people responded to it, I found Roger Ebert's review from 2000, and he loved the movie. And he said at the end of his review something that kind of resonated. He said, Dancer in the Dark is not like any other movie at the multiplex this week or this year. It is not a well-made film. It is not in good taste. It is not plausible or for many people entertaining, but it smashes down the walls of habit that surround so many movies. It returns to the well springs. It is bold, reckless gesture. And that kind of like sums up how I felt. Like I thought I didn't know there was a movie like this.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
And I liked it. And it did. It was way heavier than I was anticipating.
It is. Yeah. It is very heavy. I completely agree with Ebert's assessment there. where it's, it's not, it pretends like it's going for realism, but
Yeah.
nothing about it is really realistic. It's just this kind of pure, like almost expressionistic thing that is going for emotion.
Yeah.
Everything else is just kind of there for the sake of convenience because it has to be a movie, but it's all that just there to get you to that emotion.
I did, yeah, and I read reviewers who said that much, that like Lars von Trier has really pulled out all the stops to lead you toward the like, well, in many ways, the final scene, and then that equal reaction from the viewer. I'm wondering, so when I reached out to you, you kind of knew that you'd been thinking about Dancer in the Dark. So when is the first time that you saw this movie?
I saw it. From what I remember, I saw it in the theater when it came out. I would have been in college in New Orleans, and I probably dragged my best friend with me to go see it because I was a huge fan of Bjork, since I was in middle school. And I remember that the soundtrack for the film had been released as an album before the movie came out. And I think I already had the album, because I was such a big Bjork fan. And I was aware of Lars von Trier already. I think, I had seen and liked Breaking the Waves. So I kind of had an idea of what I was in for with that vibe. But I just remember it was one of the movies that kind of got to me more than anything had at that point.
Okay. So when you went to see it in theaters when you were in college, like was it like a movie that made you cry then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I could see that. Do you remember at all, like the theater vibe when it ended?
I think so. I think it was like a lot of stunned silence.
Yeah.
And, I think, probably hearing my friend sitting next to me just whispering like, oh my God, like after that final moment, where everyone's just kind of sitting, it cuts right after that final moment. And then you're just kind of sitting there with that moment and that feeling. And that's kind of what I remember, is just stunned silence.
That's how I felt. I had like that interior oh my God moment, because it does like unceremoniously end. Like she's literally cut off during the middle of her song. She's dead and everyone is just sitting there, and then life goes on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And they literally close the curtain too, on her body before it cuts to black and the show's over. The
entire lead up to her execution is just kind of excruciating to watch, especially when they put her in like the thing to make her stand up.
Yeah, some kind of bodyboard.
Some kind of bodyboard. Yeah, I just man, it was hard. Yeah.
And revisiting it, even though I knew it was coming, it was no less excruciating. And in fact, maybe more, because it's like, oh my God, there's still 20 more minutes left.
Yeah.
And
had you seen, so when you revisited it this time, had you seen it since you saw it in college?
Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment. This is one of those movies that most people say they will watch once and they will never watch it again. Not me. I at some point, I think I owned it on DVD and probably watched it every now and then. It's like, if you need that catharsis, need a good cry or whatever. But yeah, I did watch it multiple times, but it's been a long time. It's been at least 10, maybe 15 years.
Okay.
Since the last time I saw it.
I'm wondering, so then do you have like other movies that you have that relationship with, the kind of like glutton for punishment relationship, to where they're movies that people might typically shy away from, but then you revisit, I guess, to provoke that catharsis?
With movies, not so much. I definitely have television episodes that I would return to for that kind of release.
Oh, okay. Like, what would be a television episode?
Oh gosh. Number one, probably Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The
Oh,
Body, the episode where her mother dies,
okay.
which is just brutal, but like really well made. Or You're the Worst. I don't know. It's a comedy, but
I know You're the Worst.
they have this episode, LCD Sound System,
Yeah.
where the main character meets what she imagines to be the perfect couple, and then has this incredible crushing moment of disappointment at the end, and it just like gets me every time.
Am I remembering? Is You're the Worst? Is that the Billy Eichner? No, am I?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
It's Aya Cash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head who else.
So you have particular television episodes that you can pull up and watch, I guess, if you're looking to have a cry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have in my mind certain movies that I don't know that I would revisit again because of how hard they were. I'm not saying I'll never go back to Dancer in the Dark. It was just so unique in my experience. Really caught me off guard. I'm wondering, what was your kind of response the first time around? Like, if we're trying to rate it, how big of a reaction do you think you had when you were in college and you saw it?
Oh, using the scale that
Yeah.
yeah. No, I was looking at that yesterday, and I would say probably like a 2.5. I think that's about where I top out. I'm generally pretty stoic when it comes to watching things that are sad and not getting teary-eyed about it. And so I would say 2.5 is like the maximum, and that would be Dancer in the Dark.
Okay. So you generally you're not a big crier at movies.
No. I'll
Okay.
get teary-eyed, and more so now than I used to. I think definitely the time that, the reason why the Dancer in the Dark sticks out to me is because when I was in college, I was a tough guy, I wanted to prove how strong I was. So the fact that Dancer in the Dark got to me so much is very memorable.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of, I let myself be more sensitive to things, but then, I didn't.
That's interesting. So do you think of it as like, would you say that you're less tough now? Or do you think it's more that just you've shed the idea of like needing to be tough and then you're open to being more, I don't know, vulnerable?
The latter,
Okay.
I would say, just being more open to
I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think if I cry more now at movies, I think it's in some ways because I'm like, I don't know, I let myself.
Mhm.
Or maybe it's also a life experience thing and you find yourself, you see yourself in a lot of stuff that you maybe wouldn't have earlier. With Dancer in the Dark the first time, why do you think that one got you to like a 2.5 on the scale?
I mean, I think a lot of it was Bjork, her performance in that movie is pretty raw,
Yeah.
and I mean, especially as her being someone that I already liked and had this kind of emotional attachment to as a musical artist, then like seeing her go through that thing, it's just like, hey, that's my girl. Like, what are you doing?
Okay.
So yeah, I think that was a big part of it.
With Bjork, like, so were you like kind of like had you seen Bjork perform at all, like live back then?
No, I've never seen her perform live.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where she's toured or anything.
Yeah, she never comes anywhere near wherever I am.
Yeah, I can relate to that, especially now.
Are you a Bjork fan?
I know Bjork's music. She's probably someone I would catalog as like, I know her as like a cultural figure. But yeah, I definitely know some songs of hers, but this movie was interesting because she's playing this like supremely nice, like pure person. And I didn't know, I guess, so without knowing anything about it, so she's like a poor Czech immigrant living in Washington State, and she's renting a trailer from a husband and wife. And I really thought in the beginning that when the husband comes over to her trailer at night and they exchange secrets, I was at that stage thinking like, oh, well, this is going to be like a sweet movie. It's going to be like a meditation on,
friendship.
Yeah. And like building relationships in the world. And then that guy who to me typically gets typecast as a do not trust him guy.
Yeah.
Then I started to get really bummed out.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing that makes the movie so frustrating is the way that she never really sticks up for herself. She can easily clear up this misunderstanding. And they kind of set it up where you understand why she doesn't, right?
Yeah.
She's just hell bent on getting her son this surgery, and the money is the only way to do that. But it's like she could have saved herself if she had just explained the situation,
Yeah.
or she still might have gone to jail because she still killed the guy, but it wouldn't have been perceived as this cold-blooded thing.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, she's pretty much decided that her son having his eyesight
Mhm.
is more important than her being around.
If he doesn't have the operation next month, it's going to be too late, and he will never be able to see.
This is what it's all about.
So he can see his grandchildren, Kathy. Don't you understand?
Well, let me
This
tell
is
you something.
the only thing that's important to me in my whole life. And you don't understand it, Kathy.
If
It's
you
just
really-
plain stupidity
Listen
to
to
waste
me.
that kind of money on a blind woman who's going to spend the rest of her life in jail.
But he needs his mother, you know, alive, no matter
You
where.
don't understand. He needs his
He
eyes.
needs his mother.
No!
Yes, alive.
And she sings that song about where she's on the train bridge with the guy who's very much into her. And
Yeah.
she sings that song that's basically like, I've seen enough.
Mhm.
Like, I'm okay with losing my eyesight personally. Like, I've seen all that I need to see,
Mhm.
which was pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that was the song that was nominated for the Oscar, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow.
So,
Yeah.
which I had forgotten about. I mean, I remember, the swan dress, which was kind of a famous pop culture moment of Bjork showing up at the Oscars wearing a swan.
Yeah.
But I had kind of forgotten that the nomination was for that song,
Yeah.
Sings. And this time watching it again, I was struck by how odd it was to kind of have that actor, Peter Stormare, as a romantic lead, because
Yeah.
he's not the guy that you would think of as like the nice boyfriendly kind of character talking about going against type with.
Yeah. He's typically plays more of your gruff guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And he's also deeply sweet in the movie, and her
Mhm.
her friendship with Catherine Deneuve
Mhm.
is really great. And I think if there was a moment where I kind of felt like I didn't end up crying, but if I kind of felt like a 1 on the scale, it was where Bjork, Selma, right?
Yes.
She takes the night shift to earn more money, and then Catherine Deneuve shows up on the night shift to help her, like on her own time, not getting paid. And I just thought,
Right.
wow, what a friendship.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, their friendship was very touching, I thought.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about what you said more about maybe like crying less at movies then, and what kind of resonated with me about your essay that I don't want to say I told you so is that you talked about being in a movie theater and crying in the dark while the trailers play.
Yeah.
So I guess so you wrote this in April 2025. So like what was going on April 2025? Like almost a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember specifically at this moment because it's just been so much over the last, year, in terms of the political situation in the country and, all these this flurry of executive orders and, trying to remove any sign of diversity or scrub, historical accomplishments of people in this country, and knowing that things with the economy were really unstable. Like I just kind of had this extreme feeling of doom of what was coming. And not knowing how fast it would come or how long it would take, but knowing that the way that things in this country might look could be very different in the future. And I don't know, it was like going to the movie theater to go see a movie was a way of sort of staking out this normalcy in a world that felt very much not normal to me in that moment. And then seeing the trailers, representing all these different kinds of stories about all these different kinds of people, and wondering, it's like, oh, are we going to enter a world where this is censored, or we're only allowed to tell a very normal or like a very narrow type of story about a very small group of people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that sounds like very doomer, but that's kind of where I was in that moment when I wrote that essay.
Yeah, it doesn't sound doomer at all to me. It sounds like really like reasonable, like a reasonable response to the world. And I think, yeah, how quickly things have moved. Because when I read your essay and you kind of talked about like, well, the movie hasn't started yet and I'm tearing up and I'm seeing a trailer for Karate Kid, which I've never seen. And I'm seeing a trailer for Megan 2.0.
Yeah.
And I can just completely relate to that. Even last weekend, my last Saturday, Alex Preddy had been like murdered in Minnesota, and my wife and I were just kind of like, we were doing the doom scrolling. We were just like couldn't get off the computer. And then I was like, let's just go to the movies. Let's go see The Testament of Anne Lee.
Yeah.
And so we did, and I liked it. And it's not a movie that really, I don't know. It's one of those movies that I think like 45 minutes in, all the Shakers are singing, and then I started to cry. And I thought and I was thinking in my mind, like, I don't know. It wasn't necessarily the movie itself. It was understanding the movie in the context of every single thing that's happening. And I think for me, it was like seeing a collective of people singing and dancing and expressing joy, religious or not, very much reminded me that there's a collective of people out there trying to do the exact same thing. And it got me for like 10 seconds. And I understood, I think that it was more about what was going on in the world than in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so much I find for me too, how I react to certain pieces of media is it does so much rely on the context of what's going on in that moment in your life or in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like going to the movies was a way of reclaiming normalcy. And also it kind of felt like if the sky is falling, if the world is falling down around us, how much longer will I even be able to do this?
Yeah.
Just go to a movie.
I know it is an extremely normal entertainment activity to go to the movies. And I think, I don't know if it was the same for you, but yeah, it was like when we did go last weekend to see The Testament of Anne Lee, like it was hard for me to escape like the pull of the outside world for like the first hour or so. Like I remember really thinking like, oh my God, like I'm not fully absorbed yet. Like I need to be absorbed in this movie. And it eventually happened, but I kept feeling like everything cycling through my mind was like images from the news mixed in with like Amanda Seyfried singing. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I have had that relationship with movies a lot lately. And pretty much, most of the people that I talk to on social media who also love movies like I do are having similar feelings where that is something that they can escape into. And it's not even just about the escapism and the distraction, but a celebration of what is good.
Yeah.
About humanity, that we can be creative, that we can make these things that make people feel things. And, it doesn't have to be an escape. It can be kind of an alternative to the darkness that we see in other realms of our life. And so I think that that's really powerful, even if it is horror. It's not like light, fluffy entertainment, it's horror, but we can celebrate the creativity that we do have as human beings, and we're making things despite it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say that's, definitely, as someone who loves horror, like, I don't go into horror to like feel good.
Yeah.
But I guess to sometimes to like chasing that feeling of being afraid or like legitimately scared is something that I really enjoy about movies. And so I think it's really hard to accomplish, like on the creator side.
Yeah, I've talked about that a lot with some of my friends, where I think it's somewhat, speaking for myself personally, I have someone who has a lot of anxiety, and I'm often freaking out when no one else around me is. And the thing about horror that's nice sometimes is that everyone in the situation is reflecting an appropriate amount of fear for the situation, and it kind of makes you feel a little less crazy.
I'm freaking out!
I'm freaking out.
I'm freaking out!
I'm freaking out.
I'm freaking out!
I'm freaking out.
I'm freaking out.
I'm freaking out.
I'm freaking out!
Oh, I'm freaking out.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That people are afraid as you are.
Right. Yeah. That it feels rational in that moment to have that fear, and you don't feel like you're just the only one.
Yeah. And I think I'd seen, like, with Dancer in the Dark, I was trying to like kind of read reviews that came out in the year 2000 to see what people thought about it. And I think there was a sentiment describing it as kind of like a musical-esque horror. It's a horror story in the way that what's happening to her is so awful. And I think there's a lot of, I guess, I don't know if you agree with this. It's just the story of someone who is good, maybe like just capital G good, being slowly, like violently ground down by people taking advantage of her, which feels completely relevant now. Or maybe it's probably always been relevant, but as I was watching it now, I was having that same sensation of like relating it back to just the world.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah, I can see how it would resonate in this moment now, because it is, it is the good people that we see, who are really kind of bearing the brunt of a lot of the violence and terror that's happening.
Yeah. Good people trying to kind of just eke it out and live their lives. I'm wondering, so you mentioned in the essay that I read that you had moved back to the US from South Korea not too long ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at this point it's almost 2 years since I've moved to the US, but I was over there for 9 years.
What's that like coming back?
Very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, I had kept tabs on what was happening here, so I wasn't completely removed from it, but it's different from being in the US versus looking at it from afar. And I don't even know where to begin to really explain it, the things that have changed in the 10 years since I was gone. I definitely noticed right away how much the anti-immigration sentiment had flared up since 2015, when it was already, kind of ramping, or had been ramping up for a while when I left, but when I came back, and maybe also because I have, my husband is an immigrant, I had to hear about it. Everyone had to tell me their opinion about the immigrant, and the immigration system in the country. And it just felt like I was kind of getting it from all angles. And I'm like, wow, like,
yeah,
it was always intense, but it was never this intense.
Okay.
It's kind of one of the big things that I noticed.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess, that makes a lot of sense, because I guess as someone who's just been here the whole time, I feel like I'm like the frog in like the slowly boiling water.
Right, yeah.
And then I don't know if it's like that, but like if you come back, you feel like you're being thrown in and it's this like massive shock.
Yeah, kind of. It is. So yeah, I'm trying to think of, what other things really kind of threw me off when I came back, but that was one that really stuck out to me.
Yeah. So, it's been a very rapid change in my mind when I think about like where we are, when I just look at how news items or how they're covered, or people who have large platforms now. I think, oh yeah, we've moved quite a bit.
Yeah. The other thing too that was challenging for me was I was living in South Korea during the pandemic, and then coming back here while it was still ongoing. But the way that the two countries dealt with it were just night and day.
Yeah.
We were still masking up in certain situations when I left in 2024, and then you come here and it's just, you see a scattered handful of people here and there wearing masks, but that's very much the norm in South Korea. And then kind of being there during that situation and watching the resistance that people here had to basic things like just wearing masks indoors in certain places. That was really baffling to Koreans because they're used to wearing a mask whenever they're sick, and whenever there's anything big going around, they've been masking up for years before the pandemic even hit. So it was just pretty kind of natural and a no-brainer for them. Then to watch the resistance in this country was very strange.
I could see that. Yeah, it got weaponized as kind of like a thing of a site of like personal liberty. And I think about, I don't know if you saw it, there was a movie that came out last year, Eddington.
Give me a home where the buffalo roam.
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Yeah, it's like a movie that it like tries to make sense of that moment, that like fractious period of COVID and masking, and like essentially how it, I guess, probably like undid us as a society in a way that we haven't really, I guess, recovered from, but are understood. But yeah, masking was a large element of that movie, kind of as being that dividing line between, I guess, like the social contract that we have to keep each other well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I definitely need to watch that because it's Ari Aster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of horror, yeah.
Right. I mean, what you're saying about the masking and the social contract, that was actually weirdly a big part of how I got into writing about folk horror.
Oh, okay.
During that same time, around the time that the first 2 years of the pandemic, I noticed that there was this kind of large scale, I don't know if you want to call it a movement or an aesthetic or a trend, but there was this very kind of, I don't know, farm focused leaning where, you had a lot of people who were talking about homesteading, kind of getting out of the cities and being self-sustaining with farming. And then you had people becoming more aware of the whole trad wife thing and then the cottagecore thing. And it felt like because the social contract was so broken in the US, that people were really yearning for this kind of back to the land thing to kind of get away from society and go their own way and, take care of their own needs. And I saw that as sort of driving a lot of the interest in folk horror. I don't know whether that's, apt or not, but I just kind of saw some connections there between this breaking of the social contract that was happening and people's yearning for the countryside.
Yeah. No, I think that's like a really interesting, or like it's a really compelling thesis, right? Because I feel like a lot of, and I've seen a lot of folk horror and definitely not a lot of the classic stuff, but the idea, it is a lot of people who are of the city who are thrust into a situation in the countryside, whether or not it's like, oh, I've inherited a house or I've had to return home to this culture that I'm no longer a part of.
Yeah.
And there's this deep-seated like malevolence beneath the surface of what is like very beautiful.
Yeah, it's like this, it's almost like a warning where, okay, you think you want to operate outside of the system, but look what happens when you go to these far-flung places where there's no authority, there's no accountability, or you're just going to find the same thing, but in microcosm.
Yeah. You're going to have like those same, especially when I think about kind of like the trad wife trend, you're going to have those same systems of oppression and exploitation, like replicated on the microcosm level at your own farm.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't really escape human nature. It's gonna come for you, even when you're out in the middle of nowhere.
It does tend to follow you wherever you go.
Yeah.
I guess thinking about just everything that we're talking about, which is a lot of just in many ways the way the world has changed for the bad.
Yeah.
How do you like typically cope with real life stuff. Like I asked you about crying at movies. Are you a crier in like real life situations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I am. I think I'm pretty sensitive in my real life.
Okay.
Probably even more so than with watching movies.
Has that like always been the case? Like, what is your relationship with crying?
Oh gosh, that's such a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I cry when I'm frustrated. I cry when I'm mad. I cry when I'm depressed. Like,
Yeah.
it's not something that happens all the time. And there are definitely sometimes when you kind of get pushed beyond that point where it's like I can't even cry.
Yeah.
Because you feel it's too much and you just shut down.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, I think I am a sensitive person in reality.
I think something my wife will often talk about is like she'll tell me like, okay, I'm probably going to cry this upcoming weekend. Like I can feel it building. Like I'm probably just going to have a breakdown, but then it doesn't happen. And it's because I think it tips to where like, there's that sweet spot where you feel like you can let it out. And then you maybe you get too overstimulated or overexposed. And then everything is just trapped in again.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that's where sometimes when it gets to that point and you can feel it blocked, right? You can feel it there. You can feel like it wants to come out, but it's blocked.
Yeah.
And that's when I think that, catharsis is needed where, watch something that I know is going to make me cry because it always makes me cry. And sometimes that's enough to relieve a little bit of the pressure.
Yeah, the pressure. Yeah, you're like looking for that external trigger.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and that's something I've encountered, like the more people I've talked to is, like you have a movie or a song, or in this case, like a TV episode that it can like do the work of provoking you into the emotional response that you can't bring about on your own.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that, especially a lot with like music. I know that sometimes in life there were songs that I could like put on and I know that they would make me immediately sad.
Yeah. Music used to be that for me, but it's been a few years, I think, since I felt that way.
Oh, okay. Not so much anymore.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah. I know like if I was ever going to do a day, I don't know if you've had experience with like writing and I wanted to listen to music and I needed to like shift my emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
If I was thinking like, okay, today I'm writing something sad, I would put on a song just kind of on loop that would immediately like transform it into that space.
All I need is a bitter song.
Like we were actually watching Singing in the Rain last night.
Oh yeah.
And there's Gene Kelly, who is kind of the star, and he has his buddy, and his buddy's job on the film sets is to play the piano to get them into the mood for the silent film acting. And that's kind of what it felt like to me. Like you have your little guy playing the mood music to get you into the zone.
Yeah, I wish that I was still kind of a big music listener because I remember that being so effective, you know. I mean, and not just okay, I need to get into a party mood. Let's play party music, or I need to really kick ass on the treadmill. So let me get amped up running mix on. Like music is just magic when it comes to affecting your mood. I think more than anything else. I don't know why I've sort of lost touch with that over the years.
Like with music broadly?
Yeah, just broadly. I mean, I still have stuff that I like and that I listen to, but it doesn't, I don't go to that as much for the emotional side.
Oh, okay. So then what do you feel like you go to more often?
Unfortunately, social media, doom scrolling.
Yeah.
The unhealthy coping mechanism, I think. It's this idea that if I'm going to feel better, if I can commiserate with like-minded people, but then you just end up getting trapped in that spiral. So it's definitely something I need to be better about.
I know. I think, yeah. And we probably all say that too. It's a really hard habit to break, though. I think there's just, there's so many like shades of just terrible news coming out all the time.
Right.
I feel like I almost like want to be trapped beneath it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to let go of that feeling of wanting to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even feeling like you need to know, just on a personal safety level. It's really hard stepping away from it sometimes.
I feel like that's such a feature of horror too.
Mm-hmm.
It's driven by people who want or need to know the terrible thing.
Yes, definitely. Or like true crime, right? People who are really into true crime. Yeah.
Have you ever has social media, like, have you ever been like just doom scrolling? Like, has that ever caused you to have like an emotional response? Or are you more just in like the I'm numb while experiencing all this?
A little bit of both. Yeah. I mean, definitely, I think like a lot of people doom scroll and get angry, or maybe even have this kind of feeling of panic, like, oh my God, everything's terrible. The world is ending. But I think this year, maybe it's only January, this year I've maybe managed to approach it from more of a numb place.
Yeah.
In a good way. I mean, it's still very upsetting to see everything, that's been happening with Good and Pretty and the whole Minneapolis situation.
Yeah.
But I think I reached a kind of acceptance at the end of this last year that I kind of let that doom scrolling steal almost an entire year from me, and that I didn't want to let that happen again. I wanted to take back some of my attention. And so I kind of reached this acceptance that, you know what, bad things are just going to keep happening.
Yeah.
They're just going to keep happening. And at least from moment to moment, there's nothing that I can do about that.
Yeah.
And, I'm not a keeper of the record of every bad, it's not my job to document every bad thing that happens. So I can look at it, I can take it in, and I can feel how I'm going to feel about it. I'm not going to downplay it or be desensitized to it, but I think there is just this kind of acceptance of, okay, I'm informing myself and knowing that bad things are just going to keep happening. And there's not a whole lot in this moment right now that I can do about it, but I'm not going to let it take over my life or stop me from acting.
Sure, you're right. Yeah, because you have to find that balance of like, okay, I'm informed, and today I still have to do this thing. I still have to go to work. So you feel like, so 2025, do you think that was like your super heavy doom scrolling year?
I think so. I think I like let the horrors of the world, I kind of using them as an excuse, maybe, of like, oh, I can't read this book, I'm too distracted by all the horrors, or I can't focus on this movie, I'm too distracted by the horror, or falling into these like maladaptive coping mechanisms and just kind of waving it away is like, oh, well, the world is bad, so I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, or not do X, Y, and Z, as the case may be. But I don't want that to be the case this year. I don't want it to keep me from writing or finishing projects or, reading the books I've been wanting to read, because I just feel like I kind of fell in that hole of using it as an excuse.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think it really has been, it's such an attention destroyer. And I think in a very understandable way, right? Because when you kind of live in like a fascist regime, like obviously that's going to affect you emotionally and mentally.
Right.
Like it would be, it'd be weird if it didn't resonate in some way. So I can like relate to that in the fight, especially with like my reading. I felt like my attention took a huge hit.
Yeah.
And I found myself being like, okay, well, sometimes I want to read about the thing in the world to better understand the thing. And then other times it activates my anxiety so intensely. Mm-hmm. So I think, okay, I can't approach this in like another format, like beyond what I'm getting in the news.
Yeah, right. I don't know that I've necessarily done a great job of distancing myself from the social media and the doom scrolling. Because what I certainly don't want to do is desensitize myself or just be like, oh, all right, this is not going to be my problem anymore. Like, that's not what I mean, right?
Yeah.
I do want to be able to help or contribute however I can and not just turn it off or turn away, and ignore everything. So it's just finding that balance of being aware and caring.
Yeah.
But still being able to live fully.
I agree. I think in some ways something that I've been thinking about over the past year maybe is, for like a while, I think I really pumped the brakes on like making things, like spending time making the things you want to make. Cause I go through that. I think a lot of people go through it, that very like teenage feeling of, well, what's the point? Like nothing matters.
Yeah.
But then now I've kind of experienced the inverse where I feel like the more terrifying and ridiculous things become, I'm like invested in spending a lot more time doing those things. Cause I think, well, if not now, then when?
Oh yeah. That's a big part of it too. And as awful as January has been, it's probably been one of my most productive months in a long time.
Oh, okay.
In part because I made that decision of like, I'm not going to let this stop me from living.
Yeah.
Because as part of it, as you say, is like, okay, well, if not now, when?
Yeah.
And if things do get worse, maybe this is my chance, to do the things that I want to do. But I've really thrown myself into a magazine that I'm working on, which is supposed to be out in March.
Oh, okay.
And so I have a full-time job, but in addition to my job, a partner and I have been working on a full core magazine that is focused on US based full core.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. And so it's kind of good in a way to like have something that I have to throw myself into.
Yeah.
Whenever I look at the news and I'm like, oh, Christ,
Yeah.
But now I need to really throw myself extra hard into what I'm working on, and not just as a distraction, but to kind of feel like I'm doing something good in this world, something productive, making something with this energy and just not letting it drag me down.
Yeah, you're right. It's not a distraction, but in some ways it's like you're distracting yourself from being distracted by the thing that eats your time. But I guess it's a choice to commit yourself to the thing that you feel like you probably really should be spending time on. Does the magazine have a name yet?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So the magazine is called Crossroads.
Okay.
And I've been working on this in partnership with, on Instagram, his account is Scary as Folk.
Okay.
And, he and I have both been posting a lot of folk horror related stuff over the last few years. And when I kind of put it out into the world on my blog that I was interested in doing a US focused folk horror zine of sorts, he reached out to me last year and was like, hey, do you still want to do this? Like, we could collaborate. And I was just so thrilled, to kind of have someone who is interested in realizing this with me. So we started working together, and we, this month we've been getting in all the articles from the writers who are contributing and all the artwork. And we're in the process now of getting all the layout done, and we're hoping to have it printed by March. So it's been a whirlwind month because articles were due January 10th, and we have already edited, everything.
Wow. Okay. You have been busy.
Yeah. Very busy.
Okay, cool. So this will come out in March.
Yes. Early March is when we're hoping to have everything printed, and maybe by the end of the month, things will start arriving in people's mailboxes.
Okay. Wow. That's exciting. I'm looking, and will people be able to, do you need to be subscribed, or can you purchase it online?
It will be available to purchase online. We haven't set up our
Yeah.
shop yet, but for now we have a Substack account where people can subscribe
Oh, okay.
and get news and, kind of be on the mailing list for whenever we need addresses or for whenever it goes on the market.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Well, check it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my plug for Crossroads.
Oh, very nice. Well, yeah. Thank you for joining me today.
And of course, thank you for inviting me.
I've seen it all. I have seen the
I'm Not Crying is a production of Wildborough Studio. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.